Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. In fact, I had quite a few of you sign up to be here today, so I'm quite pleased about that. And welcome. So let's get into this. Okay, welcome to my free webinar on turning December sales into profit strategies. Now that you are back in the black, let's keep it that way. My name is Brian Young, and I am the director and founder of Retail Rescue, a company born out of the increasing need to help retailers survive in this highly competitive market. Now, many of you already know me, and for those that don't, I could spend the next 3 minutes going over my bio, but to save time on this webinar, please just visit my YouTube channel, Retail Rescue Video, and watch my bio there. Now, don't get confused when you see the next slide. Yes, it was included in the introductory video along with this one, but rest assured everything else after it is fresh. I'm simply using it as a way of going over what we are going to cover today. Okay, so here we go. Did you know that 80% of retailers fail within 5 years? And let's face it, with even big names like Klein's, Borders and Colorado having to close their doors, things can be a little scary out there. But remember this, the ones that are succeeding are in the same market as those that failed and have to deal with the same issues, yet not only do they survive, they prosper. So, what is their secret and why do others fail? Personally, I think it is time to turn the tide on retail failure, and I'm going to do so by teaching you what the 20% of successful retailers don't want you to know. Today, I will tell you why many retailers fail whilst others prosper. And I will do so by giving you the top 5 reasons that retail businesses fail, and they do not include natural disasters, taxes, recessions or online retailers. I will reveal the top 3 traditional methods of running a retail business that are no longer working. Plus, you will discover what new ways are working and how they can benefit your business. And finally, I will give you the number 1 key to success that will benefit your business more than any other and help to convert Christmas sales into ongoing profits. So let's get into it. First off, let's get an understanding of why retailers have failed in the past. Once you know what pitfalls to avoid, you can seek out the right ways and confidently move forward. So here are the top 5 reasons that retailers fail, starting at number 5. Ineffective marketing strategies. Poor planning, wrong mediums, as in TV, radio, staying traditional, poor customer base utilization. Now let's just talk about that for a bit. Of course you have to plan for major events, things like Christmas, but what about the slower periods? Okay, now how do you intend on surviving at slow period time if you can't get the general public to come in those periods as much as the busier times? Now, using traditional methods only, such as TV and radio, they still have their place, don't get me wrong, but there are real dangers in not keeping up the latest methods and technologies to attract and retain customers. There's so much of the youth market out there now that are utilising all the modern technology, like mobile phones that have mobile websites on them rather than your normal website. Now, social media, of course, is one that everyone's talking about all the time. How many of you have a social media presence? And more importantly, how many of you actually know how to get the most out of it? Now, have you ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Okay, it's a proven fact that on average, that 20% of your customers contribute 80% of your income. And yet we're out there spending tens of thousands every year in TV, etc., trying to attract fresh sales, trying to attract that 80% that only contribute the 20% of your sales. Doesn't it make sense to you that you should be rewarding and interacting with the 20% that give you the most money, that customer base that are worth having? We'll talk about this a bit more later. Okay, let's carry on with number 4. Poor tracking of market trends, monitoring of industry key performance indicators, demographic research. Okay, in your particular industry, what types of products are selling well right now? Not last year, the year before, right now. Are there any trends occurring in your industry? Are they growing or dropping? And how profitable are they? What price points are best for your demographic? Do you have any way of monitoring the industry key performance indicators? Things like how you're tracking compared to your peers in the areas of add-on, average retail, and of course markups, etc. Now, when I say demographic, I'm not just talking about regional versus city. Okay, I'm also talking about shopping centres versus main street versus destination stores, etc. And we're talking about like for like type scenario. Okay. Now, moving on to the number 3 reason. Inefficient human resources. Inability to attract and retain the right staff, let alone maximise their skills. Do you have the right staff working for you, or have you been making do? Are they performing at their best, or do they need training and motivating? Okay, let's move on. Continuing with the top 5 reasons retailers fail. And we're up to number 2. Cash flow. Insufficient funds management and totally the wrong buying versus selling strategies. This one's a biggie. When I ask most retailers, what process do you use to manage your cash flow, I get answers like, what do you mean? Or we basically see what is sitting in the bank at the end of each month to see if we can fund our business plan or not. Managing your cash flow is possible and crucial if you want to survive beyond 5 years. We will also discuss buying versus strategies further in this webinar. We'll clarify things a bit as we go along. Now here we go. The number 1 reason why the retailers fail. Drum roll. The owners themselves. Poorly planned, poorly trained, poorly qualified, following traditional methods, including what the last owner taught them, taking on too much, and the overall structure of their business. Now, I have lost count of the amount of owners that I have met that are pretty much winging it. We commonly accept to excel in marketing, we need a degree. To do well in human resources, we need a degree. And, well, you get the idea. Yet many retail business owners just try to do all of these things, as well as buying, merchandising, sales training, managing their own cash flow. The list goes on, and all without many or even any form of qualifications. Now, needless to say, to get qualified takes a lot of time, and time is one of the biggest constraints on most business owners. And here's another thing. How many degree qualified personnel are going to settle for minimum wage in a retail shop? Therefore, owners don't feel confident handing over the reins to the nuts and bolts of their business to unqualified people, and end up trying to do everything themselves, using whatever methods, policies, procedures the previous owner passed on maybe, or simply doing things the best way they can think of, whilst wondering whether there's a better way. So what's the answer? It's simple really. Swallow your pride, get help, either in mentoring or invest in training yourself and training the people you need to do specific jobs so you can delegate and take more off your own back. Once you've done that, you're freeing up your own time and you can spend more time on the business. By the way, avoid training one star in your store, one person to do all the stuff for you, because once you've trained them up, they become very highly qualified and you may not see them again when they get a better job elsewhere. Okay, so make sure everyone in your business has an opportunity to play an active role and the right people are in those roles so you can confidently delegate them. Alright, let's move right along to the top 3 traditional methods of running a retail business that no longer work. These are methods that worked in the past but aren't working anymore. Okay, so let's start with number 3, traditional marketing. Relying on big events, for example, Christmas. Now, I mentioned that before. If you're relying only on Christmas to get you through every year, then you are going to be just treading water every year. What are you doing in the slow periods to get money coming through the door? The big events should always be treated as icing on the cake and not relied upon to get you through another year. You should be planning to drive your business as a performer on a day-to-day basis. A flopped Christmas should only restrict your growth, not close your doors. Alright. Now, traditional media sources, for example, radio and TV. There's still a place for traditional media, such as newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, but mainly for branding purposes. Okay, branding. To use a very public forum like these to promote price is to go head to head with hundreds of other retailers and not just in your own industry, because suddenly you're in a box labeled discounter along with every other price driven business out there, and discounters only appeal to the 80% who contribute 20% of your business. Any bells going off in people's heads? Okay. Inability to collect and or utilize customer database. How well are you collecting customer information and how well are you using it? If 20% of your clients bring in 80% of your business, how are you rewarding and encouraging repeat business from that 20%? Are you actively building a relationship with your customers to encourage more than 20%, or are you simply serving them and relying on your marketing activity to bring in the next sale? Right. Promoting price and service as a point of difference. Right, if you're promoting the best price and or the best service as your point of difference, then welcome to not having a point of difference at all, because that's exactly what everyone else promotes these days. You need to stand out from the crowd, and the way to do this is through the wow factor. Give them an experience that will not only get them talking but have them keen to return for more. Remember what I said earlier? Branding. Okay. Ineffective tracking of promotional success. How many of your marketing activities can you honestly say were a success or even a failure? And how are you determining this? If it seemed to be busier than last year is your measuring stick, then get another stick. People counters and tracking procedures are paramount. Once you know a promotion has worked, why not repeat it next year? You know, I've had people say don't want to do it again because I don't want people conditioned to wait. Well, you know what? They don't remember that throughout the year that an event is coming up. They don't actually have little diaries going on keeping track of your promotional activity. They're not ticking off. Months go by waiting for a specific month to come into your store because they know they got a good deal last year. They're just living their days day by day, like you and I. So don't think putting an activity out there is going to make them wait for it. And if you're thinking we won't do it a second time because it was done last year, is your reason for not repeating a successful activity? Well, think again, because you know what? If it's successful, it's successful. You do it a second time and it's still successful, then you keep going until it doesn't get successful, because there are actually going to be people out there that come to an event that you have, might be a VIP closed night event or something like that, and they're going to love it. They may even be looking forward to your next event. Alright, so let's move on. Continuing on with the top 3 traditional methods of running a retail business that no longer work. And we're up to number 2, buying process. Not placing enough importance on fast sellers. Now, bread and butter lines are your number 1 concern and your only reliance to pay the bills. That's right, fast sellers pay for themselves and your bills as well. So if you don't have as many of your fast sellers in stock as possible, then don't be surprised if you also don't have any money in the bank. In short, before you go looking for the next best thing, make sure you're fully stocked in the current best thing, because these have already proven themselves, whereas the next best thing has yet to do so. Buying what you like the look of or think will sell. Now, how many of you out there are guilty of this? What you've got to realize is that if you're going around grabbing supplier catalogs and going through it and saying, that looks nice, this looks great, I'll get that because I think it will sell and I like it, then all you're doing is appealing to the small percentage of the population that happen to like the same things that you like. So yes, it will sell, but only to that few amount of people that come in that happen to think the same as you do. So unfortunately, what you've got to do is step back, be objective, and actually start looking at the figures, analysing what is selling well, whether I like the look of it or not, what is selling well, what is selling out in the industry well, that I don't have, whether I like the look of it or not. Because that's the only way you're going to start moving stuff. Okay. Allowing suppliers to sell you the best products and dictate sale or return policies. Alright, I'm going to be a little careful here because the truth is there are some really good suppliers out there, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm picking on them. There are some suppliers that are just need to understand how to deal with retailers, however. So, what I should say before we go any further is that before you go buying new product, you should also look at your suppliers. Which suppliers are actually working for you already? You know, if they're doing well for you, then approach them and see what else they have that you currently don't have that is working well elsewhere. And of course, if they have any new products coming up on their horizon, find out. If you're running all over the place looking for new stuff, it may be under your nose. And what we've got to realise is that suppliers are out to make money too, so you've got to be careful. Some of them are going to try and force their rules upon you. Alright, they get a bit more demanding these days. They expect you to have a set range of their product. Some will the range that they provide you is not actually even prone to sell in your demographic. Some may even try to tell you how often you should order and what minimum quantities you should have. But here's the thing, it's meant to be a relationship, not you doing them a favour. It's a two-way thing. Scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, if that makes sense to you. Now, if you want to know who the good suppliers are, it's a pretty good bet that they're the ones that have been around for a long time, decades in fact. You know, on the other side of the coin, there are others that are more interested in meeting their own immediate targets than building long-term relationships with their clients. But, you know, there are some really good ones out there, so don't get me wrong. Now, I guess my key point I'm trying to make here is that you should go and research the market before you approach suppliers. You should get an idea of what's going on well out there before you even go to the suppliers to see if they've got stock of it. Don't rely on them to tell you what's the best one out there. Here's one: bowing to the cheap product so-called demand. Don't always assume that cheap is better. Yes, we all want the best we can get for the least amount of money, but not at the expense of quality. Now, are you trying to set your business up as the cheapest or the best value? Often really cheap items tend to cost more in the long run, with support issues and time taken to fix or rectify problems with them. Plus, you risk entering the discount wars of the same product next door. Having said that, don't rush out on a top-end product so much either. Yes, you dabble in it, okay, and see how it goes. Let it prove itself that there is a demand in your demographic for it before you dive in boots and all. Just gradually build it up. And that's what I mean by trying to go too upmarket for your demographic. I've known people who just say, you know what, I want to be known as the top end jeweler. I want to be the top end diamond place to go. So they go out and buy all top end diamonds, and they sit there because they're in an area where people can't afford top end diamonds, and therefore all they want is the middle range or low end stuff. A lot of money gone into it. So like I said before, dabble, work your way up, test the waters, let it prove itself. Here's one: old stock clearance or stock take sales and 50% off sales. Now, clearance and stock take sales equals obsolete and an expectation of a huge percentage off. So you better make sure that if you're going to have clearance or stock take sales, that you only present the old items that you really need to move. Now, if you're having 50% off sales or even higher outside of clearance or stock take sales, it only devalues the product. Wow, how much are they making normally? I'm going to wait until the next sale in future, or haggle even harder next time. How many of you out there remember the first 10% off sales in Australia? I remember them well because I was working with Myers at the time, and it was that when they did their first sale ever, 10% off sale, I was behind the counter, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. I absolutely was blown away. I literally had to give up all breaks for the day. I had to run to the toilet and back just to keep up with the queues that of people were waiting to buy. So successful was this event that they did it again a few months later, and again, and everyone else caught on to the idea, and before you knew it, 10% sales were commonplace. Then there was 15% and 20 and 25 and so on, and here we are today with commonplace 50% off sales. Is anyone getting my point out there? Gift with purchase, or buy one, get one half price, that sort of thing, they're just as effective as percentage off sales, yet are more profitable for you, especially with suppliers, sponsors involved. Here's another one. You can't sell it if you don't have it mindset. Alright? Stocking the Dira product or stocking a huge range absolutely out of control just to make sure you've got all your bases covered. Have anyone ever tried doing that before? Well, it only applies to products that sell in your demographic. Products that meet the current style, trend, fashion and proven price points for your demographic. Otherwise, you won't sell it if you do have it. Will take precedence instead. Anyone having too much old stock as a problem out there? Alright, so what's the number one traditional method of running a retail business that no longer works? Here it comes. Staff management. Alright, now many of the points that are about to come up on the screen may shock some of you, but they are all true. And if you are having trouble attracting and keeping the right staff, then you need to pay attention. Inefficient performance management process. First of all, let me say it is not your fault if things aren't working as well as they used to when you're performance managing your staff. It is simply that the methods of the past no longer work on more informed potential employees and existing employees who know their rights. Written warnings and potential job loss fear tactics are a waste of time on people who know their rights and are far more protected by government policies than we ever were when we started out in retail. Using old-style recruitment processes such as generic job advertisements and job descriptions, and not using role profiling. Okay, so basically what we're saying here is that if you're doing everything the old-fashioned way of putting out a job advertisement that is just generically created and doesn't appeal to the type of personality that you need to be working for you, then all you're going to get is whatever that generic advertisement is saying. We want someone to work for us in sales. It's not going to come across as we need someone vibrant or somebody who's good at following up on clients after the fact. You're not clarifying to them exactly what type of person you are. When you do clarify, you might actually get less applicants, but guess what? You're going to get more solid applicants, more of the right type. And when you actually hire someone and you are giving them a job description that's generic and pulled out of the box, well, you had better put in there what you want them to do in the job. The best thing to do is to profile the role itself first. What type of duties are encompassed in the role, what type of activity needs to occur, and then determine what type of personality is best suited to doing those activities for long term and happily. Once you understand the role itself, you put that into the job description, you put that into the job advertisement, and that will attract the right person that's clear in their description what they need to be doing. And before you hire them, you also profile them to make sure that they are the type of personality that suits the job you've got on offer, and they're not just trying to get a job and pull the wool over your eyes. So very important. Unfortunately, retail attracts a lot of vacationers rather than vocationers, so you need to narrow the field and put the odds in your favour. Now, even if you hire someone who has done it all before, remember they have only been doing it all based on what someone else has taught them. Make sure your induction process thoroughly teaches them your way, and that you give them written expectations of their new role. Assuming prior knowledge of role expectations based on common sense. Common sense in my mind is now becoming a rare sense, so never assume that they will do the right thing just because a situation calls for it. They may not even know what the right thing to do actually is in the situation as it occurs. So spell it out to them. This is what we expect of you in your role. Don't just assume that because they've done it before, they know what to do in that role. Make it very, very clear to them. I've surveyed hundreds of potential employees, and the results may well surprise you. Believe it or not, relying on money as the primary motivator is not correct. Hiring from within the same industry. This is an interesting one. We all assume that to get someone who can work within our industry and do a good job, they need to have come from within our industry. I don't know how many people I've hired from completely outside of the same industry that we're in, solely because, hey, guess what? Their personality suited the job I wanted them to do. They were into it. They really loved it. And they were so enthusiastic at the interview, I could see it in their eyes. They were ready for it. When I actually role profiled versus their personality profile, they came back as the perfect fit. I can go and teach them after the fact how to do the job, but I can't teach them the right attitude. So don't go around saying must have previous experience in this industry. Just go around saying you need to have the right attitude, enthusiasm, type of persona to fit in our team. Very important. Now, when I mentioned before that a lot of people aren't motivated by money, it's true. You'll be amazed how many people, yes, we all want money, okay, but that's not our main primary motivator. That's only the primary motivator of a small percentage of us out there. I won't come even to your store unless you pay me bucket loads of money. When I do a lot of these profiles, I'm absolutely amazed how many people come back and they'd rather be motivated by praise and recognition, right? They'd rather be involved in the business than actually driven by money. So don't go around thinking that commissions is the way to get performance. I can guarantee you it will only work on the small percentage. Commissions is a bonus to a lot of the others, but they are not driven by it. They are driven by recognition or being a part of your business. Keeping company performance under wraps. Now, if you keep everything hush-hush, then how do your staff know where the goalposts are? And what impact they are personally having on driving your business forward? One of the key motivators, I said, is they actually like to be a part of your business. So encourage that. Encourage buy-in to your personal visions and goals. Be more open with what you want out of them and what you want to get out of your business and where they fit into the equation and how they can help you to get there. Alright? And get them involved in ideas on how to improve things in the business, how to move forward, and suggestions. You'd be surprised how many people love the concept of ownership, if you like, of being a part of your business. They'll always try harder when they feel like they are a part of the family, that they are coming to work as part of their life rather than just a job, than if you just keep waving money in front of them. Okay, so what's new that does work? So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there interested on this one. Well, one of the good ones is analytical stock control. Finding the sweet spots. By that I mean finding the sweet spots in every price point per department and meet that demand first. Old stock pays for new, fast sellers and special orders pay for themselves. Department reports, especially over 12-month periods or more, and ones that show performance of price points, are invaluable. Okay, so whatever you do, get a program, if you don't already have one, that you can analyze your departments by price point. And make sure you keep meeting those price points. Now, ethics integration. Bit of a new one here, bit of a new age thing going on, but believe it or not, it actually works. Your people are stars, and treat them like that for as long as they give back to you, you give to them, make them feel special. Yeah, like I said before, not everyone is motivated by money. A lot of them are motivated by feeling like a part of your business. Now, with all the rights going around in the way of the employees, doesn't seem to have much going in the way of the employer. It is getting extremely difficult to deal with staff that know their rights and then basically use them as a tool to stay employed, even though they are not good for your business. The truth is, firm tactics and even written warnings are having less and less impact, especially on the type that says, I'll avoid work if I can, so long as I get paid. So what can you do to get the most out of your team? It's simple, really. Get on board with the rights themselves. There's a few people passing out right now, I'm sure, but believe it or not, there are some rights in there for the employer as well, and all they're trying to do is to change the traditional mindset that employees are more like slaves than human beings. It is time to accept that the ways of do this or you're sacked are well and truly gone, and they're replaced by please do this because you are a valuable part of this team and we believe you are the right person to have the highest probability of doing this the best it can be done. It's true. Interestingly enough, studies have proven that if you encourage a family atmosphere with a buy-in to your values and goals, like I said before, productivity increases exponentially. So share those business goals, recognize individual efforts, and encourage your people to perform as a team. You will still get the respect you deserve as their employer, even more so. Now, what if you've already done this? In fact, you have the perfect team family model in place, and yet you still have one bad egg that just wants to take advantage of you and even tries to undermine your authority every time your back is turned. First, accept that this is just as much your fault as theirs. You did hire them after all. Alright. Whether it was because you had been trying for ages and ended up settling for the best of a bad bunch, or whether they simply pulled the wool over your eyes by telling you what you wanted to hear at the interview, you still hired them. So how do you deal with this, and how do you prevent this from happening in future? Well, the how to deal with it could take a seminar in its own right. So come and see me. At the fair. We're going to be at the fair. Come and see me at the fair. Ring me, email me, whatever you need to do to get more information on this area if you want, because it's a lot involved. We do have human resource documents available, by the way, if you want to buy those, and they will greatly help because they basically outline all the human resources, policies and procedures, and your rights, all in one little package. I think it's about $197 ex-GST. You can find it on our website under affiliates. Alright, so how do you prevent this from happening again? Role profiling and cross-referencing the staff to fit. I mentioned it earlier, and it does work. You profile the role, make sure you know exactly what type of personality is needed to do the job, and then make sure the staff members you hire suit that type of personality. Positive focus only. No pessimists allowed. This is so true. Believe it or not, positive focus is far more important than we give it credit for. The more positive and upbeat you are about your own business and where it's headed, the better. Staff will feed off of you and become more enthusiastic within their own roles. Seriously, people buy from people. So watch sales increase when you have enthusiastic people on board. If you're always finding excuses for why sales are down, or always complaining about the last grumpy customer, just remember that you have then set the tone for how you expect your staff to behave as well. Whilst people are concentrating on finding reasons for failure, they are not spending their valuable time learning from past mistakes and planning to succeed the next time. Trust me, try it. Be enthused and upbeat for just 1 week solid and watch your staff respond in kind. Your sales will go up as well, especially if you get just as enthused about their results. New generation loyalty marketing. Okay. Are you scared to market to your customer base? Remember the 80-20 rule? Mate, I'm going to pull you kicking and screaming into the 21st century if you're not doing this. You really need to be doing this, because honestly, if you don't like being marketed to, that's you, right? Again, like I said before, when you're buying products that suit you, you're only meeting a small percentage of the market. If you're not marketing to people out there because you don't like it, then you're only worried about that small percentage that don't like being marketed to. And guess what? That small percentage can opt out. The ones that opt in, the ones that say, yeah, sure, here, have my details. Yeah, sure, contact me with marketing materials. They actually like this stuff. They like being part of a loyalty program. My wife sits there and goes through the offerings every day, basically. Well, not every day, but at least every week she'll go through and see, oh, look, Spotlight's got a deal going on at the moment. Boost Juice have got an offering going on. And she loves it. And so do many, many others. So don't go writing off the opportunity without testing it first to see if you can actually get people to come in again. Build a relationship with your customers. Encourage them to come back. Reward them for what they've done with little, incentives here and there, and VIP nights and little vouchers that you can come back and spend and get not necessarily percentage offs in your store. Doesn't really work as well as come back and we'll buy 2 for 1 or things like that. Now, something else that's working really, really well. Now you got to do it right though. The QR codes. You see that thing up in the top right hand corner there? If you've got a QR reader on your mobile phone, scan that. Right? Scan it now, and it'll take you to our little mobile website where we're selling QR codes that link to mobile websites. Here's the key. A lot of people don't know how to use QR codes. What they're doing is they're using QR codes to link to their main website or even their social media like Facebook, etc. Main websites viewed on a mobile phone are very hard to see. The print's tiny. You can't read it. In most instances it's just too hard. When you link it to what is now called a mobile websites, where the website is actually feeding off your main website and is coming onto the mobile phone in a lot clearer and a lot larger and easier to read layout, and is concentrating on the main aspects of what people are doing with mobile phones. They are using the mobile phones to locate you. Who around here sells this type of product? I couldn't be bothered going anywhere further than what's in my wrist, and let's have a look on here and see who's selling this type of product now. Oh, here we go. This site here is the only one that I could find, so I'm going there. If you're linking them off the main website or social media even, you're basically saying, I want you to join our social media site, and how many people really do want to follow a business as such? Unless they're getting a reward ongoing. Yes, it does work to a certain extent. You follow us and we'll give you ongoing rewards. But the biggest impact by far is linking your QR code to a mobile website that people can search for you on the spot. Okay, so a lot of you have been waiting for this. The number one key to success. So what is it? Drum roll please. The number one key to success is preparation. Yes, good old-fashioned preparation. Planning everything. This may sound obvious, but how many of you are actually taking the time out of your business to plan and prepare for growth? Business plans, strategic ones. I'm sure many of you probably agree that you're spending far more time on dealing with day-to-day issues and praying that there's enough money in the bank next month to cover your bills than actually planning ways to make sure it will actually be there. So what's the difference between a normal business plan and a strategic plan? Well, most businesses will have a business plan that includes things like, we intend on being the best in the industry by 2015, or increased percentage turnover by so much percent this year, and so on. But a strategic plan includes what you are going to actually do in order to make it happen, and time frames for when you will actually do so. Now we can take you through the process of generating, and here's a big word, following a strategic business plan designed for growth. It's one of the services we provide. Marketing and harvesting. Now, I'm sure there's someone out there who's going to bring up, but how do we plan to sell to people when they just aren't coming through the door? I'm sure there's someone out there saying it, am I right? Well, I've got two things to say about that. One, if you aren't marketing correctly, especially in the area of harvesting your customer database during those slow periods, then just exactly how are you planning to get more people through the door? By osmosis? Two, if you aren't training your people on how to upsell and suggest add-ons, just how do you expect to get more profit from those that do come through your door? Did you know that you could improve your gross profit by 10% just by training your staff to identify client needs and buying signals better? And that's without even one extra customer coming through your door. Stock control, buying and selling, clearing old. Another way to get people through the door, well, more likely, to sell more to the same level of customers that do come through the door, is to offer the right products. How many people are walking out without buying because you didn't have what they were after? Have you ever conducted exit surveys to find out? An exit survey is where somebody stands by the door, and as people come out, they say, do you mind doing a quick survey with me? It won't take long, and can you tell me, were you served well? Did you find the product you were looking for? What type of product were you looking for? That sort of thing. And that feeds back to you afterwards how many times you've lost sales because you didn't have what they wanted. Are you monitoring your lost sales report? Do you even have one? A lost sales report. It's just a little form kept at the counter, and any time someone says, do you have this, and your staff member says, no, sorry, and the person walks away, they just write down on there what it was they asked for and why you didn't have it. Was it a stock line you normally have that you're out of, or is it a line you don't range? Believe it or not, just that few little seconds of doing that, and then if you check that on a weekly basis, you'll be amazed what pops up. I remember many times over proving the point on this. For example, something really minor, like people were coming in asking for a battery. A little battery, CR2032 I think it was. And the salesperson in the past would just say, no, we don't range it, sorry, see you later. And in their mind, they got one or two inquiries for that battery a month, so to them it was nothing. Once we started using the lost sales report, guess what? 10 salespeople were getting one or two inquiries a month for a CR2032 battery. So how many sales did we miss out on that battery from the past and futures? Of course we started ranging it. But you understand what I mean. It might only be a battery in that case, but overall, that's the type of point I'm talking about. How many of you have too much old stock? Why do you think that is? It's because you bought the wrong items to present to them, and particularly in the wrong price points for your demographic. And not even your staff are enthusiastic about promoting it anymore, preferring to leave it to one side whilst they offer up the items that sell fast instead. You need to research before you buy and have a clearance plan in place as a fallback. We can help you out with this too. Next one, staff levels and performance. Now, are you planning to have the right amount of people on the floor for any given month or any given week even? How are you determining this? I am pretty sure it was busy this time last year, so I better get more staff on. Or perhaps you are astute enough to be looking at the number of transactions that occurred this time last year. Not bad. What you really need to be doing is using your people counter stats to tell you exactly how busy it was, including how many people did not buy as they walked out empty-handed because you didn't have enough staff to meet the demand. If you don't have a people counter, then contact us, because we have something now that will absolutely blow your mind. The most amazing people counting system that has ever been devised. It is world leading, and visit our website and have a look. It'll give you a bit of an insight. Alright. Plan your cash flow. This is very important. It is something that is constantly overlooked. Did you know you can actually plan to have money in the bank every month and predict how much of it will be available to not only pay bills but to be used to support your buying plan and your marketing plan? How many of you get a copy of their profit and loss from their accountant at the end of every financial year, peruse it for a while to get an idea of the status of your business, and then file it away somewhere? I'm guessing quite a few. But what a waste of a powerful resource. Once you know how to decipher that information and put it to use, you will actually be able to predict your monthly gross profits and then use this as the workable income to turn what was effectively a bunch of ideas into your strategic business plan. Okay, needless to say, I've given you a lot of answers here today. But now that you know what to do, find out how to do it. And the best way to do that is to either stay a member of our mailing list, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or our blog. Eventually you will get all the answers handed to you on a silver platter. Very slow but free process. Another way is to join either our LinkedIn or Google Plus group. Become a member of either of those, look us up, click the links on our website or on my emails, and join up with our group. Then you'll get more detailed answers, and you'll also be able to contribute yourself. Still a slow process because we're only going to put information up in bits and pieces to grab interest. The best way is to join our mentoring program. Our mentoring program, we are there with you every month, and we spend time with you dialed into your computer, going through whatever program you have as your point of sale stock control system, and we will then show you how to extract from it the information you need to drive your business properly. Apart from that, outside of using your program, we will also take you through staff management and how to plan your cash flow and things like that. So from go to woe, whatever time of the year and whatever month you're in at the time, we will be focusing on what you need to be focusing on for that particular month, making sure you maximize every month as it comes around. That's what our mentoring program is about. By the way, we have our own point of sale, our own stock control, with built-in customer relationship program, and it's got the facility for online trading if you want, and it can be accessed from anywhere in the world. We have the most powerful program for retail operations ever devised, ever seen before. If you're interested in that, go to our website or give us a call, email me, and I'll tell you a lot more about it. Another thing you can do is to check out on our website the offerings that we have. Pick the eyes out of what you want to know about, whether it's just staff performance or stock control or something like marketing, and keep an eye open for all the seminars that we have coming throughout the year, and just go to only the ones that you relate to what you need. There is another option. We also hold boot camps. Right, we call them our Secrets to Success boot camps. And what we do is it's designed for owners and managers, and you basically get away from your business for a few days. You spend 2 days of learning. We take you through the actual action plans needed for your business. We only keep them to small groups so we can concentrate on not just telling you answers. We will tell you the answers to everything you need to know, by the way, whether it be cash flow, marketing, stock control, handling your customer database, driving your sales teams, sales training, all that sort of stuff. We'll go through the whole thing with you, but more importantly, we will go through actual action plans with you so that when you walk away, all the workshops will focus on what you can use when you leave the camp. 2 days of solid learning, and at the end of it we have 1 day of what we call play, which is actually some form of adventure that we take you out on. Team building exercise, it could be go-karting or canoeing or all sorts, anything at all. We mix it up to be a bit of a surprise for you. So there's one option. Get your managers or yourself or both to a boot camp and come away, learn yourself what you need to be able to do to drive your business and get on with it. Okay, thank you for your time. Before I go, I should let you know that we are doing a live version of this at the Brisbane Gift Fair. It's going to be a seminar, me standing up front rather than a recording like this. Again, it's around the 30-minute mark. I must admit this has probably gone a bit longer than that. And it's called Turn Cash Flow into Profit, and it'll be held on March the 25th and repeated again on the 26th. First half will be overview of what this webinar was about, so we'll go over it again, but not so in depth. The second half will discuss what awesome new tools and solutions we now have available that will help lead you to success in a dramatic way. I've hinted about them along the way here. Things like people counters and point of sale programs and customer relationship management, that sort of stuff. Now find out what new partnerships we have formed and how our combined offerings now make Retail Rescue Australia's #1 complete retail solutions provider. Everything I've talked about today that you need to be doing in your business, we can now provide to you the method to do so. Sounds awesome, and it's true. And that's it. As I was trying to say, thank you. And obviously for further information, go to our website. It doesn't really matter if you put the .com or .com.au or .net or whatever you want. Retail Rescue's got them all. So www.retailrescue.com.au is fine, and have a look at all the offerings that we have there. If you go to the Brisbane Gift Fair, we'll be on stand G07. And don't forget to ask about that 3-day boot camp, or we also have a in-store business needs assessment where we come to your business and we analyze it for a whole day. We go through your books with you, your profit and loss, how you're managing your administration, how you're dealing with staff policies and procedures. We watch your staff at work and see how they're handling customers, and at the end of the day we'll give you recommendations on what you need to do to improve your business, where you need to focus first. We even chuck in a sales training session at the end of it. And of course we will have a chat to us about any sales training that you may want. We do offer sales training from beginners to advanced, and advanced is really into it. Things like negotiation skills and handling your own customer database for the individual salespeople to control, on top of just your normal steps to selling, which is included in your beginners. Okay, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you at the seminar at the Brisbane Fair.